complexity. There are so many really awkward challenges that businesses face. It's a really, really complex world.
Because suddenly you have to not just kind of get along with the people that living next to you, but you have like this potential of being in contact with everybody.
To me, right now, managing complexity is one of the huge opportunities of our time.
That's where, at least from a mindset perspective, design can help. Creating clarity in this kind of fuzziness.
I do see a changing attitude towards companies in general, I have to say. If I look at where the progressive movements are happening, I would almost say like there's a bit of distrust when it comes to companies as organizations. It's about credibility, it's about being authentic. So, companies have a challenge there to stay relevant in that mindset. Yeah? You have to be very much aware of that kind of mindset and come up with proactive suggestions and solutions, and you still provide value in that context. In traditional marketing speak, I think the days of push marketing are definitely gone. I think if you want to stay relevant, you have to be in the places where good conversations, where interaction between people is actually happening, where changes in interactions can be observed. They will hardly end up just ringing the doorbell. Here I am. You have to go out. Yeah, you have to go out there and look for them.
I'd like to add one bit, just to listen to you. And maybe this is where design steps in as well a little bit. I think as a company you have to do things. You have to do experiments, because you can go there and watch. That's one way. That's an excellent way. But another thing is that you make something, you try, and you see if somebody likes it or not, or what they do with it. We have quite close relationships with our clients, and as such we grow actually to be quite adaptive. And to give you some examples, we used to sell printers. Well, that's not what they were asking for, so we started to sell prints. Well, that's actually what they were not asking for as well. So we started to give them the people who will take care of the prints and stuff like that. And nowadays, if you go to the University of Maastricht or the University of Amsterdam, we have complete sites of OC which will take care of the distribution and the making of the readers the students are using. We take care of providing the readers and all the problems involved. That's what OC does. Well, the only reason how we got there is by being adaptive.
So you need to get a grip on what is the dynamic context that you're designing for. What are the different users or actors? What are the systems that you need to interact with? What does the value chain look like? What position on the value chain do I want to keep, and where do I see a stretch? Where do I want to move towards? And who else am I going to encounter? Because we're all in the same dynamic context. That's a very interesting way of looking at the world, and it does require far more openness, because the whole the design trajectory is not as linear as it used to be. You can't predict upfront what the end result is going to be. That's the new challenge.
Like if most people think about design, and especially in the car industry, then it's about like, okay, how the car looks like. That's what they perceive as design. If you're like talking to someone from the industry, then they will typically ask you, are you interior or exterior? And maybe what we do is, it's quite different. I mean, like the first thing, maybe like the foremost and most important thing is we're not part of the design department. We're not placed in design. Design quite often is somehow squeezed between the marketing and sales. There is like a lot of things that have been already decided, and it has to get like a shape.
We define design as being something which has an impact on the business, like we're not doing it for the sake of just being aesthetic.
We are like based in research, what gives us the ability to act in the really beginning of the process. What differentiates us from like a classical design function, that we don't we're not in this kind of development process. We have like a certain function to fulfill, but we take the freedom of the research to explore things and find new things. But like relevant to the customers, because we work with the people really in close interaction. There's like this generation called Generation Golf, because it was like so tightly knit or integrated with this car. The car kind of became the symbol of the generation. Nowadays you see that more people are like having much more specific needs or like lifestyles. There's like, you have basically like a many more different kind of streams than you had previously. You have more and more people that are not alike anymore.
We don't even look into market segmentations, but we really try to find more patterns among several quite diverse people, which we then assume that based on that we can scale it up.
What makes a good designer in our context is the ability to translate from one into the other one, translating a need or a desire of a customer into a business proposition, trying to translate a business capability into a product for a user. So it's like constantly balancing different perspectives, different aspects, and interpreting between different kind of domains or areas. I think that's in essence maybe what design in our practice means. In our experience, I wouldn't contrast business and design. We can also differentiate between two different kind of modes of working. One is more towards like redesigning, styling, improving something. The other one is, what we do is we're using design as a tool to create something new. I think in our perception, like an entrepreneur from a business context is closer to what we do, creating something new and innovative, than, for example, someone who's like redesigning or restyling something. So I wouldn't contrast business and design. I would rather maybe contrast, is someone trying to optimize something, or is someone trying to create something new?
Well, my name is Alex Osterwalder, and I'm passionate about business models, businesses, and how to create businesses. I was always interested in how businesses work and how they come to exist and what a company is all about. And business models is the topic that allows you to learn about businesses. So I just got into it and I started studying that for years. Big companies, they grow up usually with a business model that made them big. Now, what's happening in a lot of industries is that those business models are expiring. So they know that they have to create something new. Now, the big mistake that we're often making in large companies is we're trying to use the same mindset that we applied to create our business, to create a new business. What kind of growth do I want to create? And who can help me create that? And then you put the team together. And there's just no way around not having designers in that team when you're talking about creating new stuff and creating growth. That's the way I frame it. Aesthetics plays an important role in design, and that's the most obvious. So yes, at the beginning, that's what you see. That's the most visible part. And if you dig deeper, you see, well, aesthetics is one of the outcomes of the design process. And there's much more. For me, it's very simple. It's the tools and the techniques that people in the design profession, architects, product designers, that they use to create new things. That's, for me, design thinking. Applied to whatever issue. So if we talk about design thinking in business models, well, for me, it means, applying the techniques and tools that you already apply in design, applying those to the business model issue. You can train people to accept that failure will lead to success. That in a space where you're creating something new, you just don't know. So if you don't prototype, experiment, fail to learn, well, you're just maximizing your risk to fail big. designers, as large as that domain might be, like architects and product designers and web designers, they have the equipment, the tools to guide, and the attitude to guide this testing process. No good designer is going to design in isolation and throw that in the market and see what's going to happen. Every good designer takes into account a lot of variables, explores a lot of stuff to see what could work, playing and failing continuously before you get to a point where you say, hey, the design is maturing, this is going to work. I think business people and designers are the same. They're people. It's just that business people are not trained to create new stuff, they're trained to make decisions. Designers are not trained in the same way to make decisions. You make decisions in design, right? But you're trained, a big part of the training is to create new stuff. So I think that the big difference is not, are we business people, are we designers? It's just more how we've been trained. And at the end of the day, the most interesting mix is if you're trained in both. If you have the analytical tools, the analytical methods and techniques, and you have the design methods and the design techniques, and you master both. Business schools that are doing more design thinking, design schools that are doing more business thinking. It's happening now. We still need to make it happen on a larger scale, but I think, it's pretty encouraging to see all the different initiatives that are emerging.